By the time my daughter arrived at the engagement party I'd organized for her, expecting champagne toasts and a $450,000 check toward her dream wedding, she'd find 75 of our closest friends and family members, a beautiful buffet spread, and an announcement that would make her scream loud enough to shatter every wine glass in the room. Inside the envelope I'd hand her in front of everyone was a certified check, but not for the amount she expected. The call came on a Tuesday evening in late September. I was in my workshop behind the house, sanding down an old oak chair that had belonged to Catherine's grandmother. The wood grain reminded me of her hands, strong, beautiful, marked by years of patient work. She'd been gone 14 months, and some days the quiet of our home in Oak Ridge still felt like it might swallow me whole. "Dad, it's me." Amanda's voice carried that breathless quality she'd had since childhood when she wanted something. "Can we talk? Like, properly talk? Not on the phone?" "Of course, sweetheart. Is everything all right?" "Everything's perfect, actually. Amazing. I need to discuss something important with you. Can I come by tomorrow evening? Justin will be there too." Justin, the fiancé. They'd been together 8 months, engaged for 3. I'd met him exactly twice, once at their engagement announcement dinner, and once at a charity gala Catherine's foundation had hosted before she passed. Both times he'd spent more energy checking his phone than talking to anyone. But Amanda seemed happy, and after losing her mother, I wanted nothing more than to see her smile again. "Tomorrow's fine. I'll make dinner." "Oh, don't worry about that, Dad. We'll grab something after. This won't take long." That should have been my first warning. Amanda loved my cooking. She'd never turned down a meal at home before. They arrived at 7 sharp. Amanda wore what Catherine would have called her negotiation outfit: crisp blazer, pressed slacks, heels that made her tower over Justin's slouching frame. He wore designer jeans and a polo shirt that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. Neither of them hugged me hello. "Let's sit in the living room," Amanda said, already moving toward Catherine's favorite armchair. I noticed she didn't ask how I was doing. Didn't comment on the photos I'd finally put back up on the mantle, Catherine, at our wedding. Catherine holding newborn Amanda. Catherine laughing at the cottage we used to rent every summer near Muskoka. Justin settled onto the couch, spreading his arms across the back like he owned the place. Amanda perched on the edge of the armchair, her hands clasped in her lap with that particular tightness that meant she'd rehearsed what came next. "So, Dad, Justin and I have been doing a lot of planning." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "The wedding, obviously. We found the most incredible venue, the Ashford Estate. You know it? That historic manor house just outside the city?" I nodded. Catherine and I had attended a fundraiser there once. Beautiful property, but the rental fees were astronomical even back then. "The thing is, to secure our date, June 14th, which is perfect because it's exactly 1 year after Justin proposed, we need to put down a significant deposit. And with the caterer we want, the photographer, the florist, the band." She laughed, light and artificial. "It adds up so quickly. You know how weddings are." I didn't, actually. Catherine and I had married in her parents' backyard with 20 guests and a potluck reception. It had been perfect. "How much are we talking about?" I asked, though something cold was already settling in my stomach. Amanda glanced at Justin. He leaned forward, suddenly animated. "Here's the thing. Lawrence, can I call you Lawrence? The wedding industry is absolutely brutal right now. Post-pandemic, everyone's trying to make up for lost time. If we don't move fast on this, we'll lose everything we've planned. And Amanda deserves the wedding of her dreams, right? After everything she's been through this year, using Catherine's death as leverage, I felt my jaw tighten. The number, Amanda." She took a breath. $450,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but it is a lot. But think about it as an investment." Justin cut in, his tone taking on that particular smoothness I recognized from every salesman I'd ever met. "This is your only daughter's wedding. Your only child. One day. And honestly, Lawrence, with the estate you have, the house, Catherine's life insurance, you're sitting on resources that could make Amanda's dreams come true. Isn't that what parents do?" I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. When had she learned to hold her face so carefully empty? When had her eyes developed that calculating glint? "When do you need this by?" I asked quietly. "Friday," Amanda said. "This Friday. The venue needs the deposit to hold our date, and everything else cascades from there. If we don't move now, Dad, we lose it all." 3 days. They were giving me 3 days to decide whether to hand over nearly $500,000. That's a very short timeline. I know. She reached across and touched my hand, and for just a moment, she looked like my little girl again. "I know it's sudden, but Dad, I've already lost so much. Mom's not here to help me plan this, to see me in my dress, to dance at my wedding. This is the one thing that can still be perfect. Please, I need you to do this for me." And there it was, the emotional manipulation wrapped in grief, tied up with a bow of daughterly affection. I recognized it because I'd been doing the same thing to myself for 14 months. Every time I said yes to something I shouldn't, every time I wrote a check, I knew Catherine would have questioned. I told myself it was because of the loss, because Amanda needed extra support, because I was the only parent she had left. "Let me think about it," I said. "This is a significant amount of money. I need time to consider how it impacts my financial situation, my retirement planning." "Your retirement?" Justin actually laughed. "Lawrence, no offense, but you're 64 years old. You've got the house paid off, the pension from 30 years at the school board, Catherine's insurance payout. You're set. This is about giving your daughter the start to her marriage that she deserves." How did he know about Catherine's insurance? How did he know about my pension? We'd never discussed my finances with anyone outside the family. "I'll give you my answer on Thursday," I said, standing up. "That gives you 24 hours before your deadline." Amanda's face went through several expressions very quickly: surprise, frustration, calculation. She stood as well, smoothing her blazer. "Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon. Call me around 3. They left without the dinner invitation I'd half expected Amanda to extend. Through the window, I watched them sit in Justin's BMW for nearly 10 minutes before driving away. They were arguing. I could see Amanda's hands moving in sharp, agitated gestures. I stood there in the quiet house, Catherine's house, our house, and felt something shift inside me. It wasn't suspicion yet, not quite, but it was close. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the number, $450,000 for one day. Even accounting for inflation and the premium wedding market, it seemed excessive. Catherine had served on the boards of half a dozen charitable organizations. I'd attended enough fundraising galas to know what things cost in this city. A beautiful wedding at a prestigious venue, fully catered, photographer, band, you could do all of that for maybe $150,000. Possibly $200,000 if you went truly extravagant. So where was the other $250,000 going? At 2 in the morning, I got out of bed and went to my office. Catherine had always been the organized one, but in the months after her death, I'd learned to navigate the filing systems she'd left behind. I pulled out the folder labeled Amanda Recent and started reading. There wasn't much. We'd grown distant over the past year, I realized with a guilty pang. After Catherine died, Amanda had seemed to pull away rather than draw closer. I'd assumed she was grieving in her own way, giving us both space. Now I wondered if there was more to it. I found her last birthday card to me, a generic hallmark, with "To Dad" pre-printed inside and just her signature below it. No personal message. I found the Christmas card from her and Justin, a photo of them at some tropical resort, both holding cocktails. Catherine had died in November. They'd gone to Turks and Caicos in January. I found the email from March, where she'd asked to borrow $15,000 for unexpected condo fees. I'd sent it within the hour, no questions asked. She'd never mentioned paying it back. I found another from May, $8,000 for a car repair emergency. Same pattern. I pulled up my bank records and started counting. Over the past 14 months, I'd transferred Amanda $47,000 in various emergencies and unexpected expenses. Not once had she said thank you. Not once had she asked how I was managing financially. By Wednesday morning, I'd made 3 phone calls. The first was to Thomas Sullivan, the lawyer who'd handled Catherine's estate and had been our family attorney for 20 years. Thomas, I need some information, and I need you to be completely honest with me. If someone wanted to research my financial situation, assets, insurance payouts, pension details, how hard would that be? There was a pause. Lawrence, is everything all right? Just answer the question, please. Well, most of that information isn't public record, but it's not Fort Knox either. If someone had access to your tax returns, or mail, or even just casual conversations over time, they could piece together a fairly accurate picture. Why? Has someone approached you about money? My daughter wants $450,000 for her wedding. By Friday. Another pause. Longer this time. That's quite a lot for a wedding. That's what I thought. Thomas, if I were to give her this money, what would be the best way to protect both of us? In case there are issues down the road, don't give it to her at all, he said bluntly. I'm speaking as your lawyer and as someone who's known your family for 2 decades. That amount, that timeline, those pressure tactics, Lawrence, this has red flags all over it. But if you're determined to help, at minimum, you'd want documentation. A loan agreement with clear terms. Or if it's a gift, an advance on inheritance with proper legal paperwork. You'd want to know exactly where the money is going, invoices from vendors, contracts with the venue. You'd want transparency. And if she refuses to provide that, then you have your answer about what this is really about. My second call was to the Ashford estate. I explained that my daughter was planning her wedding there for June 14th, and I wanted to inquire about availability for a site visit. I'm sorry, sir, the events coordinator said kindly. We don't have any weddings booked for June 14th of next year. In fact, we're completely renovating our event spaces starting in April, so we're not taking any reservations for June at all. We won't reopen for events until September. My hands were shaking when I hung up. The third call was the hardest. I phoned Amanda's best friend from university, Natalie, whom I'd known since she and Amanda were roommates in their first year. We'd always gotten along well. She'd cried at Catherine's funeral, sitting in the pew behind us, and had checked on me regularly in the months after. Natalie, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. Is Amanda really engaged? Is the wedding actually happening? Silence. Then, quietly, Mr. Harper, I probably shouldn't say anything, which means there's something to say. A long breath. She made me promise not to tell you. But Mr. Harper, there is no wedding. Amanda and Justin are planning to elope, fly to Las Vegas in March, get married at some chapel, spend a week gambling and partying. The $450,000 isn't for a wedding. I don't know what it's for exactly. Justin's got some business debt, I think, and Amanda's maxed out her credit cards. She's been living way beyond her means for over a year now. The condo fees, the car repair, none of that was real. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But after what you've been through with Mrs. Harper, I couldn't let you get scammed by your own daughter. I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat in Catherine's office, my office now, and I let myself feel it. The betrayal, the grief that my daughter, the little girl I'd taught to ride a bike and helped through university and walked through her mother's funeral, could look me in the eye and lie, could use her mother's death as a weapon to extract money from me. Catherine would have seen through this in 30 seconds. She'd always been the one who enforced boundaries, who said no when I wanted to say yes. I'd been the softy parent, the one who snuck Amanda extra cookies and raised her allowance without telling Catherine. After Catherine died, there'd been no one to balance me out, and Amanda had learned exactly how to exploit that. By Wednesday afternoon, I'd made my decision. Thursday morning, I called Thomas Sullivan and spent 2 hours in his office. Then I made several more calls to the Oak Ridge Community Center, to a caterer I knew from Catherine's charity work, to a printer. By Thursday at noon, I had everything arranged. At 3 o'clock, my phone rang. Dad, it's me. So, have you thought about it? I have. Amanda, can you and Justin come by the house tomorrow evening? Around 6? Tomorrow's Friday. We need the money tomorrow, Dad. The deadline. I know. I'll have your answer tomorrow at 6. Trust me, sweetheart. This is something I need to do in person. But Dad, 6 o'clock, Amanda. I'll see you then. I hung up before she could argue further. Friday evening. They arrived at 5:45. Early in their eagerness, I met them at the door. Change of plans, I said cheerfully. We're going to the community center. Amanda's face went pale. What? Why? Dad, we just need... There's something I want to show you both. It'll only take an hour. Humor me. I could see Justin's jaw working, the calculations running behind his eyes. But they couldn't refuse without showing their hand too obviously. They followed me to my car. The community center was lit up beautifully. I'd called in favors from every volunteer organization Catherine had worked with over the years. The main hall was decorated with simple elegance, white tablecloths, centerpieces of autumn flowers, soft lighting. About 75 people mingled inside, many of them holding champagne flutes. What is this? Amanda whispered. Your engagement party, I said. I thought, if you're getting married in June, we should celebrate properly now. Let all our friends and family share in your happiness. I watched the color drain from her face. Watched Justin's expression cycle through confusion, panic, and something close to rage. Dad, we didn't want a big... Nonsense. Come on. Everyone's waiting. I'd invited neighbors, Catherine's friends, distant relatives, people from my old teaching colleagues, members of the charity boards Catherine had served on. I'd even invited Natalie, who stood near the back, her eyes wide and sympathetic. The room fell quiet as we entered. I took a microphone from the small sound system I'd rented. Everyone, thank you so much for coming on such short notice. As you all know, my daughter Amanda and her fiancé Justin are planning their wedding for next June, and I wanted to gather everyone together to celebrate this happy occasion with them. Polite applause. Amanda's smile looked like it might crack her face. Amanda came to me earlier this week with a request. She and Justin need $450,000 for their wedding, for the venue, the caterer, all the beautiful details that make a day truly special. As her father, as her only living parent, she hoped I would provide this gift to launch her marriage. I paused. In the crowd, I could see people exchanging glances. $450,000 was an obscene amount, and everyone here knew it. I gave it a lot of thought. I asked myself, what would Catherine want me to do? How would she handle this situation? I looked directly at Amanda, and I realized that the best gift I could give my daughter isn't money. It's truth. It's accountability. It's the kind of tough love that Catherine always provided, and that I failed to give after she passed away. Amanda's eyes were filling with tears, but not the right kind. These were tears of anger and humiliation. So I did some research, and I learned some interesting things. First, that the Ashford estate, the venue where Amanda claimed she absolutely had to hold her wedding, isn't taking any bookings for June at all. They're under renovation. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I also learned that there is no caterer lined up, no photographer with a deposit paid, no florist on retainer. In fact, I learned that Amanda and Justin aren't planning a wedding at all. They're planning to elope to Las Vegas in March and use the money I gave them for, well, I'm not entirely sure what for. Gambling debts? Credit card bills? Maybe Justin can enlighten us. Justin's face had gone from red to white to purple. This is insane. You're publicly humiliating us. No, Justin. I'm publicly holding you accountable. There's a difference. I turned back to the microphone. For the past 14 months, I've been grieving my wife, and during that time, I let my judgment slip. I gave Amanda money whenever she asked, almost $50,000 in total, without questioning what it was for. I wanted to be the supportive father, the generous parent, the one who'd fill the gap Catherine left behind. My voice cracked slightly. I pushed through. But Catherine wouldn't have wanted me to enable manipulation and lies. She would have wanted me to teach our daughter that actions have consequences, that relationships are built on honesty, not exploitation, that love sometimes means saying no. I pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket. Amanda, I'm not giving you $450,000, but I am giving you this. I handed it to her. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a certified check for $5,000 and a handwritten letter. $5,000, I said clearly. Enough to elope to Vegas if that's what you really want. Enough to start your marriage with a small, honest celebration. The letter explains that I'm paying off the credit card debt you've accumulated $32,000, according to my research, but that debt will be deducted from your inheritance. Every penny. You'll sign paperwork to that effect with Thomas Sullivan, my lawyer, who's here tonight. I gestured to Thomas, standing near the refreshment table. He raised his glass slightly in acknowledgement. As for the rest of my estate, the house, the savings, Catherine's life insurance, everything, I'm establishing a foundation in Catherine's name. It will support the causes she cared about, literacy programs, women's shelters, cancer research. I'll serve on the board during my lifetime, and after I'm gone, it will continue her legacy. Amanda's face had crumpled. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and for a moment, I wavered. But I thought of Catherine strong, principled Catherine, and I held firm. You're disinheriting me? Her voice was barely a whisper, but the microphone picked it up. I'm teaching you the lesson I should have taught you years ago. Money isn't love. Gifts aren't affection. And family doesn't mean unlimited access to someone else's resources. I looked at the crowd. Thank you all for coming. Please stay. Enjoy the food and drinks. This is actually a celebration of honesty, of boundaries, and of the values Catherine tried to instill in all of us. I set down the microphone and walked out of the hall. Behind me, I heard Amanda sob and Justin curse loudly. I heard the awkward silence break into hushed conversations. I heard Natalie's voice, gentle and sad, trying to comfort my daughter. I went home, sat in the workshop, picked up my sanding block, and went back to work on Catherine's grandmother's chair. I didn't hear from Amanda for 3 weeks. When she finally called, her voice was small and exhausted. Dad, can we talk? Of course. Can I come over? Just me. Justin and I aren't together anymore. She arrived the next evening. She looked different, smaller somehow, less polished. She wore jeans and an old sweater I recognized from her university days. Her face was bare of makeup, her eyes red-rimmed. We sat in the kitchen. I made tea the way Catherine used to. I'm so sorry, she said finally. Dad, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to me. After Mom died, I spiraled. I was angry that she left. Angry that you seemed fine when I was falling apart. Angry at everything. And Justin, he made me feel powerful. Like I could take control. Like I deserved things just for being me. We started living this life we couldn't afford. And then the debt piled up. And then he came up with this plan. And she broke down crying. Real crying this time. Deep and gutting. I reached across the table and took her hand. Tell me the truth now. All of it. And she did. The credit cards maxed out on designer clothes and expensive dinners. The loan from Justin's business partner that he'd used for sports betting. The mounting panic as the bills came due. The realization that I was vulnerable in my grief and that she could manipulate that vulnerability. We were going to take the money and run, she whispered. Move to another province. Start over. Justin had it all planned. And I went along with it because I was too weak to stop it. Because somewhere along the way, I stopped being your daughter and became someone I don't recognize. I squeezed her hand. The good news is, you're recognizing it now. That's the first step. We talked for hours. I told her about my own struggles after Catherine died. The loneliness, the second guessing, the desperate need to feel needed by someone. We talked about grief counseling, about financial counseling, about rebuilding trust. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said as she was leaving. I don't deserve it. Forgiveness isn't about deserving, sweetheart. It's about healing, for both of us. But forgiveness and boundaries aren't mutually exclusive. I can love you and still protect myself. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. The foundation, Mom's foundation. Can I volunteer there? Help with it? I don't want money. I just want to do something that would make her proud. I'd like that, I said. I'd like that very much. 18 months later, I stood in the workshop, applying the final coat of varnish to the chair. It had taken me nearly 2 years to restore it completely, but it was beautiful now, the wood grain glowing, the joints solid and true. Amanda was coming for dinner. She came every Sunday now, had for the past year. She'd gotten a job as an administrative assistant at one of the charities Catherine had supported. The pay wasn't spectacular, but she was good at it. She'd moved into a modest apartment, downsized her life, started therapy. She'd even started paying back the $32,000, sending me small amounts each month even though I'd told her it wasn't necessary. "I need to," she'd insisted. "For me, not for you." The foundation was thriving. We'd funded 3 literacy programs and contributed significantly to a new women's shelter. Amanda had taken on more responsibilities there, learning about budgets and fundraising and the work Catherine had loved so much. Sometimes, on those Sunday dinners, we'd talk about Catherine. Amanda would share memories I'd forgotten, small moments between mother and daughter that I hadn't witnessed. We were building something new, she and I. Not the relationship we'd had before, because that one had been broken beyond repair, but something more honest, more real. I carried the chair inside and set it in the living room, next to the photos of Catherine. It looked right there, like it had finally come home. My phone buzzed with a text from Amanda. "Running 10 minutes late, picked up dessert. Your favorite apple pie from Murphy's. See you soon, Dad. Love you." I typed back, "Take your time. Love you too, sweetheart." I looked at Catherine's photo on the mantel, her smile, her knowing eyes. "I think I got it right this time," I said quietly. "It took me a while, but I figured it out. The best gift isn't always saying yes. Sometimes it's having the strength to say no." Outside, the autumn light was fading to gold. The trees in the backyard blazed with color, the same trees Catherine had planted when we first bought this house 40 years ago. She'd chosen varieties that would peak in September, her favorite month. I heard Amanda's car pull into the driveway. Through the window, I watched her grab the bakery box in her purse, pause to wave at the neighbor, smile at something on her phone. She looked lighter than she had in years, free. The doorbell rang. She always rang now, respecting boundaries we'd established together. I opened it, and she hugged me tight. "Chair looks incredible," she said, noticing it immediately. "Grandma Rose would be so proud." "Your mother would be proud of you," I said. "All the work you've done. How far you've come." She blinked back tears. "I'm trying. Every day, I'm trying." That's all any of us can do. We moved to the kitchen, fell into the comfortable rhythm of preparing dinner together. She told me about her week, a challenging client at work, a fundraising idea for the foundation, a book she thought I'd like. I told her about the chair restoration, about running into old teaching colleagues, about finally sorting through the last boxes of Catherine's things in the attic. "I found something you'll want," I said, pulling out a small jewelry box. "Your grandmother's pearls. Your mom always meant for you to have them." Amanda opened the box, gasped softly. "I remember these. She wore them to my high school graduation, and her graduation, and her mother's graduation before that." I smiled. "They're yours now. Not as an inheritance advance or a gift with strings, just because they belong to you, because you're Catherine's daughter, and that matters more than any amount of money ever could." She fastened them around her neck, looked at her reflection in the kitchen window. For just a moment, I saw Catherine there too, in the tilt of Amanda's head, the curve of her smile. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered, "for everything, for that night at the community center, for the boundaries, for the tough love, for not giving up on me even when I'd given up on myself. Thank you for finding your way back." We sat down to dinner as the last light faded outside. The house that had felt so empty for so long was warm again. Different than before, yes. Quieter, more careful, but warm nonetheless. I thought about the envelope I'd handed Amanda that night, the $5,000 check, and the letter. I'd kept a copy of that letter in my desk drawer. Sometimes I read it when I needed reminding of what Catherine had taught me. That love without boundaries isn't love at all. That the hardest gifts to give are sometimes the most important. That saying no can be an act of profound hope. The foundation thrived. My daughter healed. The chair stood restored in Catherine's spot in the living room, a testament to patience and careful work. And sometimes That's all the vengeance you need, not punishment, but transformation. Not revenge, but redemption. Not the satisfaction of seeing someone suffer, but the deeper satisfaction of helping them become who they were always meant to be. Even if the path there breaks both your hearts first. That night, after Amanda left, I sat in the workshop with a cup of tea and looked at the plans for my next project, a bookshelf. Using wood from a tree that had fallen in our backyard last winter. Catherine had loved that tree. Now it would become something useful, something beautiful, something that would last. Transformation, redemption, second chances built on truth and hard-won trust. I smiled, picked up my pencil, and began to sketch.